I don't come kilometers. I don't walk that many kilometers.
Hello, Tanzania. My name is Nema George Alex, Miss Morogoro, second runner-up and Miss Photogenic. I'm a student at Morogoro College of Health and Allied Science, taking diploma of nursing and midwifery. My Beauty with Purpose project is on the fight against COVID-19. COVID-19 is an abbreviation of coronavirus disease. This disease was discovered in China 2019. Large population, both nationwide and worldwide, has been affected by COVID-19, and Tanzania is among the nations which is affected by COVID-19. Despite, Tanzania is not affected at high rate compared to other countries, since we are not facing lockdowns and we are not restricted to perform various social activities. The early symptoms of COVID-19 includes running nose, itching throat, headache, and high fever of above 37 degrees Celsius. And the severe symptoms is difficulties in breathing. During my project, I was able to make a documentary on various places, which includes the hospital, school, and transport facilities. When I visited at Morogoro Regional Hospital, I was able to provide various education concerned with COVID-19, and I was able to provide emotional support to the patients who were affected by COVID-19.
Here is the emergence point, and I'll continue showing you the patients at the ward and what they're going through. Thank you.
Depending on various categories, especially those who are at high risk of getting COVID-19, like the patients who are prisoners and the patients who are related to the use of drugs. As we know, COVID-19 affects the lungs and causes breathing problems. So these people are at high risk of getting COVID-19 since their lungs are already affected by the use of drugs. Despite they are already under medication and proceeding well. Also, I visited patients with chronic illness such as diabetes and hypertension, and I was able to provide health education on how people with chronic diseases can help themselves and prevent themselves from coronavirus. And I helped my patient who had hypertension to check for his blood pressure and how it was progressing after he had the education of a coronavirus disease. Finally, I checked on his blood pressure, and his blood pressure was a bit high. So I continued insisting him on taking the measures to prevent himself from COVID-19. And after that, I provided him with medication to lower his blood pressure down. And another patient whom I visited was the patient at the male ward who was having COVID-19 and had problems at breathing. This patient requires the use of oxygen or ventilators, as you can see. And at the female ward, I visited a mother who had COVID-19 and she also had problems in breathing. But she's finally going on well and her health is much improved. And as recently, they are both discharged from the hospital and their health is stable. I did not just end there. I sanitized my hands because I was from the hospital and I checked my patient. So this is one of the ways I use in preventing myself, and that's why I advise you, whenever you get access to anything that is contaminated or infectious, try to clean your hands. I also got a chance to visit a school. Its name is Kigurunyembe Secondary School. I provided education of a coronavirus disease. But I was a bit disappointed since the students had no masks and distance was not well maintained. So the education I provided to them made them to realize new things and various ways on how they could prevent themselves from coronavirus disease. They asked a lot of questions about the vaccine, and I provided them with good answers that vaccine is good for everyone. We should not take the words that we hear in the streets, since the use of vaccines will prevent us from getting coronavirus. And also, I encouraged them to put on their masks, and I taught them on how they could put on their mask. And the other facility that faces a high risk of getting assessed COVID is transport. People do not put on masks and maintain distance. As you can see, those facilities are at high risk.
After every activity you perform in your daily life, hand washing should be a pride. And I'm going to elaborate a short way on how you should wash your hands. Been seen at the documentary, COVID is still a talk, but the following are preventive measures which, when we keep into consideration, we are able to exclude and fight against COVID-19, such as implementing hand washing, sanitizing hands, and wearing of masks, avoiding close distances. At least try to maintain a arm distance from one person to another. Also, I would like to thank a lot of appreciation to our Madam President, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, for accepting the use of vaccines. Since when you get vaccinated, it's very easy to exclude yourself from getting COVID-19. So, I would like everyone to consider the measures so as to fight against COVID-19. I believe when we cooperate together, COVID-19 won't be the talk again. Thank you, Tanzania.
Big June. Kilometers. I don't come kilometers. I don't walk that many kilometers. Learn from the teacher. I don't take for the game, she no pitas. I decide bad mind from a distance.